What is up, guys? Rickakus here, and it's Saturday, so it's time to go over some more amazing community-designed exotics for Destiny. Now, this is the only place that lets you submit your exotic weapon or armor idea and have a realistic concept made for it. That's because I partnered with the artist Benjamin Radaman, who makes these amazingly realistic exotic concepts. His deviant art will be linked in the description down below. I urge you to check it out after the video. All of the exotics you're seeing in today's video were submitted in the comment section of last week's video. We're going to be going over 5 featured exotic concepts. After that, we're going to talk about how to properly submit your exotic idea and some tips for getting selected. And lastly, we're going to shout out all of the people whose exotics were made into concepts this week. Now let's get started here with the Butterfly Kaleidoscope Exotic Rocket Launcher concept by Dave Galindez. This crazy looking rocket launcher has the exotic perk called Swarm Vision. This weapon switches your perspective into third person. Aiming down sights will zoom in a little bit for better accuracy. It also has enhanced radar similar to Keen Scout, and enemies that receive damage from this weapon and don't die will be marked for a short time for you and your allies. So you'll be able to track where they're headed. This rocket launcher also has an intrinsic perk called Second Chance. This second rocket in the launcher has a chance of returning to the magazine if you miss entirely with it, like you don't do any damage, you don't hit any enemies with it. Essentially Mulligan, but for rocket launchers. Now, the idea of switching to third person is certainly interesting. It could be disorienting for some, but there's no doubt that it will give you increased awareness of your surroundings. You're going to be able to see people sneaking up behind you, sneaking up beside you. You can maybe check around corners before you ever go through somewhere. So that's actually a very interesting concept with this rocket launcher, is that it switches to third person. We already know it's possible because of the melee weapons. You switch to third person when using those. So that's going to be the same principle, but with the rocket launcher. And I also like the idea that when you hit an enemy and you don't exactly kill them, they're marked. So you get to see kind of where they're going. And with this rocket launcher, you know, you're going to be doing a large blast radius. You're going to be able to potentially mark and or kill several enemies, kind of track the ones that didn't die and see where they go, and also inform your allies if they can take them down, because likely if they got hit by a rocket launcher, they're a little weak. Also, I think adding Mulligan essentially for rocket launchers is a fantastic idea. I don't know why that's not already in the game. Moving on, the next exotic concept we're going over is the Last Bastion exotic machine gun concept by Jake Demoisier. This weapon has a couple of unique perks. The first is a passive perk called Stand Your Ground. When aiming this weapon, you become much slower. However, the weapon becomes much more stable. And then we have the exotic perk Final Stand. When you get a kill with this weapon, receive a slight boost to armor and movement speed, lasts until you reload the weapon. Now, first things first, I love the Stand Your Ground perk. Aiming down sights is going to drastically decrease your movement speed, but you're going to get massively increased stability to help you hit your targets. Now, we all know that in Destiny right now, especially if you're playing PvP, as soon as you aim down sights, you just see everyone like wobbling side to side or doing whatever, so they try to avoid incoming headshots. Now, this is obviously going to let you not do that. You're going to be standing essentially still, a very easy target to get hit with enemy headshots. However, you're also going to get the massive benefit of having hugely increased stability. So it's a really awesome like downside with a really good upside, like classically balanced perk, which I really like to see in these ideas. I also think it's a very fair and very good perk to have in the game. It's like, will you trade that potential evasiveness from your enemies to have massively increased damage potential and be able to take your targets out with this machine gun at pretty long ranges with great stability. So I really love the play of this perk. I think it works really well. The exotic perk is a good perk as well. You get a kill, you're going to get a slight boost to armor and movement speed. That's a decent bonus. It's not incredibly overpowered or anything. It's just a good perk to have. Moving on, the next concept we're going over is the Fervor exotic shotgun concept by Frosty Narwhal. This weapon's exotic perk is called Bloodlust. Kills with this weapon grant increased stamina, sprint speed, reload speed, and after obtaining 7 kills, you never run out of stamina and reload instantaneously at the cost of negative accuracy. Additionally, after 2 kills, your screen is going to become a little bit red to indicate this bloodlust, and after every 2 progressive kills, that redness is going to increase and increase and increase, impairing your vision. Now, this is a very interesting play on a shotgun, increasing its potential by not increasing its damage or its range or its, pellet accuracy or anything like that. You're just increasing the player stamina and sprint speed. Sprint speed, especially after getting a kill with a shotgun. You run faster, you're more mobile, you're able to get to your targets faster. That is definitely going to increase your potential when using a shotgun. In fact, I think it's a pretty decent perk to have, and in fact, I don't even think you need the downside of decreasing your accuracy with this weapon. I like the idea of a shotgun, especially an exotic shotgun that you're giving up an entire slot to. Going out and getting a kill is going to increase your stamina, increase your reload speed, and increase your sprint speed. I don't think we've really had anything in the game so far in Destiny actually mess around with your sprint speed. So I think that would be a really interesting ability to add in. The funny thing is that this would also really come in handy in PvE. I can see a bunch of different scenarios where increasing your sprint speed would actually be totally awesome. Let's say you're running strikes. We all know that there's a huge section of strikes that you can just kind of run past. Well, it would be pretty awesome to be able to kill a few enemies, get increased sprint speed, and just go past everything to try to complete, strike runs as quickly as possible. Perhaps this is going to unlock new techniques and strategies in raids even, having a player getting a few kills with this gun, having massively increased sprint speed and being able to go back and forth between 2 areas of a certain raid or get through certain mechanics that maybe they weren't supposed to get through because they have increased sprint speed. It would just be really interesting to have this mechanic introduced into the game. Moving on, we have the Bonewalker's Dirge exotic sniper concept by Eric Smith. Now, this weapon has 2 unique exotic perks that you can select between. The first one is Song of Suffering. Landing multiple body shots in a row increases the precision damage, stacks up to 5 times, and lasts for 5 seconds. The other exotic perk is Rapid Torture. Precision kills recharge your melee and grenade abilities and grant +2 character agility, lasts for 5 seconds again. Now, the first exotic perk, Song of Suffering, seems potentially really good for PvE activities. Obviously, landing multiple body shots that increases your headshot damage, that just does not matter at all in PvP. But in PvE, when fighting bosses, as long as the increase is substantial, like if you land 3 body shots, you're going to be doing, 7 times the headshot damage. As long as that's the case and you're able to go body, 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 head, and your damage output is able to shoot up through the roof, that's going to be really good against bosses, and that might even compete with something like the Black Spindle, for example. So that's a really cool idea there, being able to potentially really increase your damage output by getting body shots in a row and then finally landing a good precision shot. Or perhaps even being able to shoot the body a few times, then for that 5 seconds, all of your precision shots will be doing pretty increased damage. So again, that's going to overall increase your damage output. Great for PvE activities. The Rapid Torture perk, where precision kills increase your grenade and melee recharge and also give you +2 agility. That seems quite good. Of course, the degree in which they increase your grenade and melee will have to be balanced with other guns, but I'm sure you could have it so that they increase it to a decent amount but also aren't incredibly overpowered. So that just seems like a very good perk to have in PvP activities where you want those grenade and melees recharged pretty much all the time, as much as you possibly can, and +2 character agility is also quite useful. Moving on, the last featured concept we're going over today is the Titanium Marksman exotic sniper rifle concept by a Trapper. Now this is a pretty awesome looking weapon designed for the Daito foundry that actually the Jade Rabbit belongs to. Unfortunately, we aren't getting new foundries in the Rise of Iron, but this is something to which potentially it could have looked like if they had actually expanded the Daito foundry in the Rise of Iron. So pretty unfortunate we're not getting that. But that aside, this exotic sniper rifle has the exotic perk called Titanium Shell. Bullets pierce targets. Precision kills with this weapon grant a slight boost to aim assist for a short period of time. This stacks up to 5 times. So essentially, if you're going on a sniper spree with this weapon, you get a dank headshot, you're actually going to be able to increase your ability for getting more dank headshots in the future by increasing your aim assist, and again, it's going to stack up to 5 times. Now, of course, being able to land 5 rapid precision kills with a sniper rifle is a tall order, and so being able to stack it all the way up to 5 times, I mean, you're probably going to run out of ammo at that point anyways, so it's probably not going to be that, incredibly overpowered or anything. I like the bullets pierce targets, and I hope it also applies to light cover. We've had armor piercing rounds in the past. They aren't present on too many, in fact, maybe none at all, Year 2 legendary sniper rifles, so having more of that I think would be pretty awesome. I mean, heck, I'm shot around corners and through rocks and through walls and all that shit anyways in PvP, so might as well actually make it a perk, for goodness sakes. All in all, seems like a very good and useful sniper rifle, probably focused definitely towards more PvP than PvE, but depending on how powerful it is, could be used in PvE as well. Now that's going to be it for the featured exotics we're going over today. Let's talk about how to properly submit your exotic idea and some tips for getting selected. Now, how to properly submit your idea, all you need to do is reply to the thread of the comment I'm going to leave in the comment section down below. So I'm going to leave a comment saying, reply to this comment with your exotic idea. And my comment also has a bunch of different things that you should look at if you want to increase your chances of getting selected. And I've actually just recently added on a video that Benjamin Radarin has made talking about the perks that he looks for when selecting an exotic idea. So definitely take a look at that if you want to improve your chances. Now, replying to this thread is going to be the only place that Benjamin Radarin looks at for selecting his ideas. Emailing me is not going to count. Making a normal comment in the comment section is not going to count. Replying to random comments that aren't this official thread is not going to count. You must reply to this official thread. Now, this thread will fill up with the 500 response limit pretty quickly, and I'll be there to make thread number 2, to which then reply to that one if the first one is full. Don't worry if you're in thread number 2, Benjamin looks at both threads, so if you're in thread number 2, don't feel like your idea won't be looked at. Now, some basic tips for getting selected. I always say, firstly, make sure that your idea is realistic for Destiny. Getting a kill and turning into a bear or a dragon or something, it sounds cool and it probably would be cool, but it's very unlikely that that would ever be implemented into the game. Secondly, try to make sure that your idea isn't overpowered. I've seen so many ideas where getting a kill is going to increase damage or give you an overshield immediately. That's likely going to be overpowered, especially with no downside. Take a look at the existing exotics in Destiny, see that they are very good but not incredibly overpowered. Some of the time it depends on whether they're balanced or not, and that's where you should take your inspiration from. Now, before we end the video, let's shout out all of the other exotic concepts that were made this week. Firstly, the Earthbound exotic rocket launcher concept by Grimlock123567. We have the Pluto Here exotic rocket launcher concept by Arizone0110. We have the Hellspawn exotic sidearm concept by A Trapper. We have the Savior exotic auto rifle concept by Drizzles. We have the Dawnbringer exotic Morningstar concept by David Galindez. The Leviathan exotic machine gun concept by High Wolfhood. The Scout's Creed exotic sidearm concept by Ethan Claffey. The Cerulean Destroyer exotic sniper rifle concept by Cat Dude Hyro. The Dragon and Weaverin exotic dual hand cannon concept by Shadow in the Ice. The 5-leaf clover exotic scout rifle concept by Haru Axeman. And lastly, we have the Aetius exotic scout rifle concept by Tristali Moore. Now that's it for this week's video. If you want to support this series, please remember to simply rate and especially share this video. Your support means a lot to myself and Benjamin Radiman. If you want to see more Destiny content and don't want to miss next week's Exotic Concepts video, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. If you want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickHackis. That's linked in the description down below, as is my Twitch channel, which you can also follow. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.